Buen dia, Paula. Sorry for the
Hello,
delay
Peter.
today.
Sorry, I just had to finish a message. Okay.
Okay.
Are you sick?
No, I'm feeling a bit cold. I was receiving
Me too.
body work and I ended up getting a bit cold during the session.
Oh, that's not good.
But yeah, no, but it was a great session though. Sorry to
What did you receive? I didn't understand.
it's the therapist, she's an osteopath and fascia therapist, and so it was a mixture of everything, I guess.
Ah, yeah, good. Like, yeah, I work the same. At one point, you have so many trainings.
Yeah.
Did you just find your own, the best tools, yeah, for.
Yeah.
Mm.
So how are you today, and how was your week? And did you manage to get some more practices done of the Kundalini Pranayama?
My week was very mixed. Partly I was very tired and exhausted. Today's the first day I feel better, because I had good sleep without interruptions. And no, I didn't practice.
Okay. Okay. Shall we
I
practice?
forgot actually. Yeah.
Okay. There is I can't remember if I think I mentioned it last time actually that there's a that well, basically, that it would be good to have maybe even printed out a sheet in which you each day you evaluate how you feel on a specific some specific criteria. So imagine that you're wanting to do the practice specially for mental clarity. So you could, have like on a scale of 1 to 10, how you feel that you're doing in terms of mental clarity each day. Or you could have more than one criteria that you're measuring, that you're observing and seeing how you feel each day, and you could have sorry you could
No
have
problem.
a couple of it could be like a chart, and you could have two columns, and in one you put a tick if you did the practice that day, or the number of times you did it, so 0 or 1 or 2, and then in the other column you have how you feel, and then you can actually also look back and see that there could be a correlation between doing the practice and feeling higher on the scale, and missing the practice and being lower on the scale. And even though it's not telling us something we don't know necessarily, but it's making what we know more evident to our conscious mind, and it can really help to consolidate the commitment to practice. And this can be something that we offer to our students or clients as well, as a way to encourage a practice that they want to do, to make it easier for them to remember to do it, and to get this kind of positive feedback loop that helps them to validate the practice.
Yeah. Yeah, but I did yoga one time.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to, when I don't feel good, I just prefer to sleep then to feel better. And then I don't do yoga, and then it becomes a habit not to do it.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Yeah. That's
I
the
know.
thing. Yeah. We work very much with habits, and so when
Yeah.
you get out of a habit of practice, it's easy for it to kind of fall aside.
Yeah. And there's always something to do here. So that's a good excuse.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I booked my flights this morning to Azores in November. I go on holiday for 10 days. So looking
Beautiful.
forward to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a long time that I was on holiday, like last year beginning, no, last
Yeah.
winter. The winter before last winter.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I find gardening also quite relaxing, I must say. And
Mm.
yesterday I did a long hike. Here I have this mountain in the back, and you can do some nice hikes. It was also energizing because uh, I'm quite a lot in the mind at the moment, like all the time. So, and when I do physical workout, that stops. Um, and this overthinking and like the pressure of the to-do list and have to earn money, it's quite draining and exhausting.
Yeah.
Like in addition to that, I'm already overworked, and need to rest. So, yeah, physical activity is energizes me. And then after that, I had really good sleep last night. So, yeah,
Great.
I was good
Okay.
connecting with nature and um, yeah, the energy circulation is better when you move the body. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. And being in the sun also helps.
It's one of the things that also when we are giving support and guidance to others, that it's important to remember the simple things, such as spending a little bit of time in the sun, a little bit of time outdoors. They're the simplest things. But many people in modern life, they just, this thing that was so basic before has been lost as a daily habit. And we do miss we suffer as a result of lack of fresh air, sunlight, contact with nature. And sometimes all it takes is to just go step outside. Sometimes we have a beautiful garden and we just don't even go into our own garden. Sometimes it takes a bit more effort to go to nature, but it's very, very valuable as a resource for our well-being.
It's actually paradoxal, no? Because my mind says to lay down and rest when I'm tired, but actually activity wakes me up more than resting. So it's like I have to overcome some phlegmatism or so.
Yeah,
Like low energy. Yeah. But other people, they just sleep 4 hours and they're fit. But okay, they meditate probably most of the day, but um, yeah. So I'm trying to find a balance there because it's an old problem of mine due to trauma. This tiredness and heaviness, and and my mind always wants to go back there, do nothing, don't meet anyone, be alone. It's all too much.
yeah. It sounds like it's a response to overwhelm.
Yeah, it's a fear of overwhelm because I know very well how it is when I was overwhelmed in the past. But then when I actually go into activity or I start cutting trees that's really energizing me, rather than more exhausting me. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Moving.
had I like last week I had days like I slept all afternoon and then went to bed at 8. So this is also okay, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that we need to stop as well. But that's the thing, like you said, finding the balance. And sometimes what our body is seems to be telling us is not necessarily what we need the most. So sometimes listening to the body is tricky because, like you said, the body might be saying, just go to bed, and then actually doing some kind of activity will make you actually feel better. And so it's we have to learn to understand the messages and
Yeah.
sometimes read between the lines the messages from the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. If you like, we can do 21 repetitions of the pranayama, so it doesn't
Yeah.
take up quite as much time. Yesterday in the Portuguese class, we did the pranayama as well, and it took about 12, 13 minutes to do 21. So we can, does that feel right for you, or would you like to do longer?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Even the fact that I try not to be as fast as last time, so I try to breathe a bit slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent, just confirming, I sent you a video. Oh, yeah, but it wasn't of the pranayama, because I also created a video of the pranayama, but I haven't shared it yet.
Where did you send me something?
No, in the Telegram chat, I'm just seeing last week I sent you, no, not last week, it was on the 13th, which was,
So in a personal chat.
yeah. It's
Ah, I
a,
haven't.
you could say a video reconstruction of the class that I got
Ah,
a
here. Ah, yeah, yeah.
transcript of, but not the video recording. And I created a little video of the explainer of the pranayama as well, which in case you want to refer
Ah,
back,
okay.
I'll share it with you.
Okay, thanks.
Do you remember the pranayama? Do you have any questions?
I remember it.
Yeah,
No
we
question.
we draw the energy up with the inhalation up through the sushumna. We pause at the crown with the Om vibrating at the crown. And then we bring the exhalation back down through the sushumna. And it's not the number it's not the time of the breath that matters, but more the emphasis is on the bhava, the quality of attention given to the energy as we do the breath.
Mhm. Okay.
Hmm.
tried to be very slow, but I was still faster than you.
I think where I'm being slowest is probably in the pause between the breaths.
Yeah, you hold longer, maybe, no?
Yeah, because I don't think I'm breathing super slowly. It's more the holding of the breath, perhaps.
Yeah.
And today was again like last night, about 12, 13 minutes, I think. But that seems to have been longer than it was when we did the practice together on Monday. Because on Monday the total I think was 40 more or less.
Yeah.
And so I must have been breathing more quickly than today and yesterday.
Mm.
Um, it's possible to find a comfort instead of a strain in the holding of the breath for a period. And sometimes it feels like there is an initial sense of urgency or an initial wave sense of discomfort that comes with the holding of the breath. But if we relax through it, then sometimes the pressure goes and it feels easy to hold the breath a little longer. And so exploring that threshold can lead to a longer breath holding, but it's not supposed to be like a prolonging of discomfort in this practice. It's a gentle holding. And it's worth mentioning in one of the traditions that I studied with, the Tamil tradition, that there isn't really any breath holding in the Kriyas at all in that tradition. It's not considered to be the best approach. And samadhi can lead to a spontaneous holding of the breath, but it's not done as a thing that you're really pushing yourself to be able to hold the breath longer and longer. In some hatha pranayama type practices, it's really like there's a big objective focus on that, like being able to prolong the breath longer and longer, and that can put a strain on the heart. That's what my teacher said, and I think what his teacher said to him. So it's not. It's important to explore the threshold in a way that you can relax through it, not push yourself beyond what's comfortable.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, when we are really relaxed, we almost don't breathe
yeah,
anymore, no?
yeah,
I know that. It's like when you, before sleeping, it's like you almost don't breathe. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So this is probably what what you describe now, what they want to reach in the Tamil tradition, no?
yeah. A state of profound restfulness where this also comes up in rebirthing breath work, where after a few minutes of the connected deep breathing, sometimes we enter into that physiological state of samadhi where it's like you can think of it like a hibernation. You know, some animals have perfected the ability to just kind of go into pause where so little energy is required to sustain themselves that they're not eating for an extended period. And similarly, if we're in that state of close to zero expenditure of energy, we're not using up the prana, we're not using up the oxygen. It's just like there's no energy being used up, and so there is a natural sense of pause of the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, when I hold the breath, it's not 100% comfortable always. I feel my
Yeah.
heart starting to beat stronger. Uh, but I can relax into it, then it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way to do this also, you can do it very patiently. So instead of the objective being like, I'm going to try to hold longer, you can think of it as just like, I'll do the practice more frequently, and with practice, it'll change. Not with effort, but with practice. And
Yeah. It was already different to Monday.
hmm,
And on Monday, I was tensing up here a lot,
yeah,
trying to manage all the visualization and whatever. Yeah. I tried also the visualization today, but like when I let go of holding the breath, then I see how the light is flowing down, but I don't see it when I inhale or and lower down also not. But I think it will come.
yeah. You said on Monday that you felt heat. I'm not sure if
No, I felt tension.
ah,
I got tense from wanting to do it right, I
but
guess.
didn't you say you also felt heat on Monday?
No, today. Today I felt heat. In the beginning.
Okay.
What's the heat about?
It can be um, often Kundalini is associated with heat. Um, it can be, let's say, awakening of energy. So where you could say where energy isn't flowing, it can be cold, and where it starts to flow intensely, it can feel like heat. The sense of release of tension can bring about heat. A kind of like a quick expansion where there was a compression, the sense of heat
Mm.
can come. But it can also happen where there is a bit of friction, right? Where there is a difficulty for energy to flow. So energy is being awakened, and there's some tightness, and so that can create heat as well. You know, the mixture of energy flow and tightness. So it's very common for it to come, whether it's accompanied by a comfortable sense of expansion and aliveness, or sometimes a less comfortable sense of intensity and tightness.
Yeah. I felt it had to do with holding the breath.
Yeah,
And then it was more relaxed and it wasn't hot anymore. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The holding of the breath can contribute a lot to the intensity. And perhaps you remember me saying about my Egyptian teacher, in relation to the Egyptian Kriyas, that if you weren't sweating, you weren't doing them properly. Because that was involved intense holding of the breath. Any other reflections or insights relating to the practice today?
No, I think I will just practice circling the light without anything else.
Yeah,
And yeah, also like in addition to the breath, like have a separate practice only with the light, to make
yeah,
it
yeah.
like
And it's perfectly valid to do a version of this practice without the holding of the breath. There are kriyas, there are Kundalini pranayamas in which it's just inhalation up, exhalation down, no need for holding. So if it feels like that's creating discomfort, distraction, yeah, it's perfectly valid to do a fluid, connected breath practice.
yeah. But a question came to me about the Kundalini
Yeah,
energy. It's like, why is the Kundalini actually sleeping? Because we doing these practices to have the Kundalini permanently active, right? And so what is the reason that for thousands of years. The Kundalini is sleeping, whereas when I read from like ancient, very ancient Egypt, that it was the prana, probably Kundalini, was flowing freely up and down. So what's the reason?
Yeah.
Does it have to do with like some energy changes on the earth, or
Um,
do you know that?
there are the cycles of, you could say, planetary consciousness that influence the type of consciousness that we're experiencing globally. And so that's one frame of reference for explaining why in ancient times there seems to have been what's literally referred to sometimes as a golden age of consciousness. Then we pass through a bronze age, an iron age, and so on. And referring to Rudolf Steiner's work again, because he talks about the development of consciousness, and not so much using, although he does speak of the Kali Yuga and how it ended at the end of the 19th century, but mostly what he refers to in terms of the development of consciousness is that the ancient people had a more awakened spiritual consciousness. They were aware of the spiritual dimension. But he doesn't just say they were more aware than us in general. He actually says they were kind of less awakened to the material world than we are. It was a different type of consciousness. It's not that we simply lost something that they had. It's a shift in emphasis. As we were losing something, we were also gaining something else. It was a transformation of the consciousness. And before, there wasn't an effort required for the spiritual awareness, and now we need to do a process, an effort of some kind to bring back spiritual awareness. And our opportunity now is to integrate the spiritual and the material awareness. Not only, let's say, regain the old type, but actually reconnect the spiritual with the physical, the material awareness.
Like polarities, no?
Yeah.
First we were exploring one polarity to the extreme,
Yeah.
then the other polarity.
Yeah.
I have cards from like it's like oracle cards with
Uh-huh.
the thought, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
thought energy. And
Yeah.
there are practices to play with the polarities. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
the Book of Thoth, the Thoth Tarot?
It's German. Wait.
Okay.
And each card has a like a message, and then there are also like there are messages for growth, to connect with the source messages, healing messages, master messages,
Okay.
and then initiation cards. And the initiation cards, you have to play with the polarities partly.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't use them very often at the moment, but yeah.
Is there anything anything else you wanted to share or explore? I have something in mind, but I wanted to just open up to the possibility that there's something that you have in mind that you want to explore.
Not really at the moment, no.
Okay. So I mentioned last time, I think no, I might not have mentioned the texts that condense the sutras, that condense the teachings. And there was something that I was working on before I created. Do you remember I created some AI sutras?
Yeah, it's funny.
Before I gave that task to the AI to compile, to draw from the ancient teachings and set them out in the structure of sutras, I was working on some verses myself, but then I stopped that, and then I ended up feeling like the verses didn't all fit together, and so I kind of left it aside for a while. But I reread it last night, and even though I still feel like it's split into chapters, and the chapters don't follow perfectly, but I think it's worth sharing. I think there's a lot here that is clear enough for it to be valuable. And so I wanted to share that with you. The title I gave here originally was Darsana Vidya Sutra.
It's a new sutra now.
I don't remember now if this name ended up being, but the content is different to what I've shared with you before.
Okay.
But I may have used this title later when I created the AI versions. I might have used the same title for one of the sutras. So I had the same concept in mind, and kind of asked the AI, what would you come up with using this title as a framework and the guidelines. So
Yeah.
It begins with the traditional statement, introductory statement. This is the exposition of Tantra. Tantra is concerned with liberation. Although this is known to many, it is undoubtedly misunderstood by most. The nature of liberation becomes clear when the human condition becomes clear, and when the essential nature of the human being, his or her unconditioned nature, becomes clear. So, I'm just going to repeat that last bit because I think I read it in a way that felt disjointed. The nature of liberation becomes clear when the human condition becomes clear, and when the essential nature of the human being, his or her unconditioned nature, becomes clear. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all the planes of existence be happy and at peace. So each chapter ends with those 3 lines, like a kind of a dedication, a prayer of intention. So that's the short chapter 1. Chapter 2, the human experience. The human condition is defined by the experience of individuality. With individuality comes the appearance of separation. With the experience of separation comes existential anxiety. That gives rise to struggle for control. The desire is to recover an empowered sense of safety. Liberation is the natural and spontaneous dissolving of the sense of separation at the core of the individual identity. And with this dissolution of the impurity of a mala, or the mistaken view that is the appearance of separation, the existential pain of separate existence too is dissolved. No longer is there a drive to use power for control. Power is no longer enslaved by the tightness of fear. Power, Shakti, can again become a spontaneous creative expression of the whole, with the taste of existence, consciousness, bliss. This ends the 2nd chapter on the nature of the human experience. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all planes of existence be happy and at peace. Chapter 3, the human condition. The ancient tantras speak of the three types of human condition, the Pashu Bhava, the Vira Bhava, and the Divya Bhava. The first type, the Pashu, desires liberation from responsibilities and from moral restrictions. The Pashu has no interest in taking responsibility for profound change. The Pashu finds fulfillment in sensual pleasures, but the contentment that derives from sensual pleasures is short-lived. The only sacrifice that the Pashu is drawn to is the sacrifice of others for his own or her own benefit. The mental state of the Pashu can be described as ignorance, avidya. Knowledge of their true nature and their true potential is not yet awakened in the Pashu. If a Pashu experiences a spiritual awakening, it may lead them to develop the characteristics of the second temperament, the characteristics of a Vira or hero. This second type of personality or temperament, the Vira, is characterized by one who is prepared to face his or her fears. By facing their fears, the Vira may come into contact with the bare, naked reality without distortions created by avoidance or judgment. Thus, the Vira may ultimately attain to wisdom of knowledge experience, Vidya, the experienced knowledge of reality. The Vira's path is a journey that involves sacrifice. The Vira is willing to sacrifice immediate pleasures and gratification for an ideal. The Vira's ideal may be worldly or spiritual. A Vira may even sacrifice his or her gratification for the sake of another's well-being. A Vira changes not only themselves, but can change the world. Their fulfillment is not only personal. It may outlast their lifetime and become legacy or even become legend. The path of the Vira is one of discipline and striving. The third, the Divya, dissolves in the experience of union, yoga, experiences liberation, moksha, while living, and is known as a Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated while living. The Divya is not only free, the Divya is a portal to liberation. The degree of fulfillment attained in this lifetime will depend on the path taken. Your path will be determined by both the steps that have been taken in the past and the willingness to open to grace. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all planes of existence be happy and at peace. Chapter 4. I'll probably split that last chapter into two parts. Anyway, chapter 4, the paths to alleviate suffering. On the nature of paths, marga. An effective path, or marga, and practice, sadhana, is one that will transform even the one who is predisposed to Pashubhava, animalistic temperament, to become Vira, heroic, and even attain Divya, temperament, attuned to the divine. But only one who has awakened a desire for liberation, moksha, will be sincerely dedicated to such a path. A false path will fool a Vira and reinforce his latent Pashu tendencies. A mediocre path will sustain a Vira's efforts and provide some fulfillment. An excellent path will bring the most profound fulfillment, leading to the embodiment of timeless, sacred knowledge experience. This knowledge experience is known as gnosis, as jnana, as bliss, and is also known by many other names in different traditions. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all planes of existence be happy and at peace. Chapter 5, the search for liberation arises through suffering. Seeking liberation arises within a specific context. This context is suffering. Where there is contentment, there is no striving or suffering. Contentment itself is a form or mode of liberation. We shall return to this after an exploration of the nature of suffering. Without suffering, there is no urgent desire for liberation. Let us come then to a clear understanding of the nature of suffering and liberation. First, there is suffering that arises from physical challenges. This type requires the care of a physician. This form of suffering is relatively easy to comprehend. A second form of suffering arises through our frustration when what we require for our physical needs is not attained. A third form of suffering arises through our frustration when what we desire in our relationships is not attained. Each center of consciousness, energy, or chakra, is associated with the expression of a desire or flowering of the potentiality of the human being. Each of these also represents a form of suffering when we're incapable of expressing that potential or attaining that desire. There is also a form of suffering that arises when we lose hope of attaining fulfillment and we give up on what is most precious to us. This suffering is a form of spiritual heartbreak. This suffering, although pervasive, is often unseen. This suffering is so common that it is typically nameless and has become associated with the human condition. However, the most prevalent form of suffering is not so obvious or easy to recognize. This is the domain of spiritual wisdom. Spiritual wisdom reveals that the most widespread form of human suffering is that suffering which results from a false conception of the nature of the self. All seek happiness, all seek security, all seek freedom. But with a false self-conception, all actions and all seeking are oriented into futile pursuits that at best bring only temporary relief. At worst, the desperate pursuit of happiness without a map of basic self-knowledge brings entrapment into painful relationships based on power struggles, disappointments, and resentments. This can lead to despair and a conviction that life is futile, that love is forever out of reach, and that the sacred is just a fantasy. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all the planes of existence be happy and at peace. Chapter 6. Shedding light on the self, the microcosm, and the universe, the macrocosm. About the self, it is widely believed that the individual seeks happiness. The nature of seeking, however, is not understood, and the nature of happiness is not understood. Seeking is an expression of desire. Some wise ones have ascribed all our suffering to the existence of desire, but we can acknowledge two types of desire. Desire can arise as a result of pain. Pain, physical or emotional, leads to want to change the quality of our experience. This manifests as the desire for change and for more pleasant experiences, desire for more pleasant experiences. Desire can be in alignment with the deepest truth as an expression of divine will and harmony, dharma, the following of which is an expression of our divine potential, the experience of which we can speak of as continuously unfolding blissful realization. Or it can be a multiplication of illusion, of falling deeper into falsehood, a tightening of a trap. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all planes of existence be happy and at peace. I haven't named each of the remaining chapters. There's another 3 chapters.
Mm.
Liberation, moksha, is the goal of Tantra sadhana, tantric practice or discipline. Most human beings don't seek liberation because to them liberation seems impossible, or they see themselves as incapable. Liberation for so many can seem like an unattainable goal. However, it is not a goal that is far away. This is the mystery. Every goal has a process for it to be achieved. Every process has a beginning and an end. This is true for everything that exists in space and time. The importance of this will be explained. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all planes of existence be happy and at peace. Chapter 8. The self-realized one exists outside of the limitations of time and space. The self-realized one exists independently of cause and effect. Therefore, there appears to be a path when looking from within the perspective of time and space, Dvaita, and no path when seen without division, Advaita. Acknowledging the perspective of one who suffers, the sages, those who've bathed in the bliss of liberation, share teachings and practices that facilitate the falling away of the feeling of separation and the return to union, from the suffering of separate existence to existence consciousness bliss. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and in this way consolidate your experience of your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all planes of existence be happy and at peace. Chapter 9, the last chapter. Kundalini Shakti is Guru. She reveals the path, lighting up your central channel. Light brings awareness to what was unseen. The awareness can come in one lightning bolt flash, or it can come gently like the rising sun. To withstand the lightning bolt, we must have opened our channels, the nadis. To face the image forms that were revealed but not dissolved, we need courage and discernment, and we need to harness the power of the breath. Faith is required because we do not always feel safe in time and space. Faith is required because we do not always feel the bliss of union. That is the nature of space-time experience. Tantra is the path of transcending the bonds, limitations, and illusions of space-time experience, while maintaining the creative expression alive. The dualistic path seeks release by idealizing transcendence, while disregarding the creative force, Shakti. The truly non-dual path is this. It is the path of embodying and realizing divine potential in the playful dream of space-time. When you're able to bring curiosity, openness to your challenges, the friction and the tightness of the challenge does not bind you. Instead, it creates focus and fire. It provides passion and a foothold for you to climb and gain a better, more open view. Or it changes you, and the pressure shapes you into one who is capable of supporting or guiding others through their challenges. May these verses contribute to gracefully bring clarity and thus to reveal your unconditioned nature. May the primal source of suffering be uprooted. May all the beings on all planes of existence be happy and at peace. So it's like I said, it feels not quite complete, but it still, I think, serves some purpose of condensing a lot of the principles and the repetition, the kind of dedication prayer at the end of each verse. It can feel a bit repetitive, but it also hopefully breaks the takes us out of what can become an intellectual focus on the teachings and takes us back into a dedicative communion with the spirit of the teachings instead of trying to grasp with our minds what is intended. Do you remember the other verses that I shared? How do these feel to you? If you can, maybe you remember the others and to some degree able to compare. How does this feel in terms of a useful reference for, to contain in a summarized way a lot of the teachings?
Um, I remember very shallow though, but for me, this one seems to be good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in some ways this feels more potent to me, but maybe it's also I haven't read the other for a while now. But in some ways this feels more potent. But also that towards the end it feels like I notice at least very clearly that I wrote it in two different times, and I think the last part feels like I'm kind of restarting in reintroducing some of the things. It feels like I haven't quite created a conclusion properly yet for
Okay.
it to
But if
have a
what you were reading, it feels very practical. The explaining the human conditions, and then in the end it's specified. Whereas the other sutras, they're more spiritual, no? More um
yeah.
yeah, this is more human language, more practical. I don't have
Okay.
another word to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe the other sutras, they feel more like ancient yoga scriptures,
The
whereas
others
this
do.
one is really breaks down to understandable language for someone who is not so into yoga.
Yeah, there might have been
And
more Sanskrit terminology in the others,
yeah,
more reference to the specific practices and the terminology in the philosophy. So this one may be more, yeah, more fluid in its expression.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, good. I have to stop now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I have a session.
Okay. Apologies for starting late and
No problem.
big hug. See you Monday.
See you on Monday. Have a nice weekend.
You too, and
Ciao.
good session. Ciao. Big hug.